In the complex universe of human relationships, seemingly simple gestures can reveal unexpected depths. The hug, in particular, carries meanings that go far beyond the momentary physical contact. It is a silent language that communicates intentions, desires, and emotions without uttering a single word. When a woman hugs you, she is conveying a message. But do you know how to interpret it correctly? Many men miss valuable opportunities by not understanding the rich, nonverbal communication contained in this gesture of closeness. Stoic philosophy, with its teachings on self-control and understanding emotions, offers powerful tools to navigate the not always clear waters of human interactions. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, already understood that our reactions to external events determine our life experience more than the events themselves. Imagine the following situation. You meet a woman you are attracted to. At the moment of parting, she hugs you more intensely than usual. Your heart races, your mind races in various directions. What does this mean? How should you react? The Stoic response is not to repress these emotions, but to observe them clearly, without allowing them to dominate your actions. The hug is one of the oldest forms of human communication. Even before verbal language, our ancestors expressed affection, protection, and belonging through physical contact. This primitive language remains with us, encoded in our emotional DNA, transcending cultural and linguistic barriers. Each hug tells a different story. Some are quick and formal, others are long and laden with meaning. The way a woman hugs you can reveal a lot about her feelings towards you. But for this, you need to pay attention to the subtle details that many men overlook. Stoicism teaches us the importance of careful observation. Epictetus, one of the great masters of this philosophy, said that we should first understand the nature of each thing before acting according to that understanding. Applying this principle to the context of hugs, we can develop a keen sensitivity to the different types of hugs and their meanings. The first type is the quick and distant hug. You have probably experienced that formal hug, accompanied by light pats on the back, that ends almost before it begins. It's the kind of hug that distant friends or acquaintances exchange in casual meetings. When a woman hugs you this way, it usually indicates that she sees you only as a friend or acquaintance, without romantic undertones. The Stoic response to this type of hug is to accept reality as it presents itself, without creating unfounded expectations. If you are interested in moving beyond friendship, the path is not to force an intimacy that does not exist naturally, but to work on creating moments of genuine connection that can, over time, transform the nature of the relationship. The Stoics believed that we should not cling to specific outcomes but focus on the process and our own actions. This means that instead of getting frustrated with a distant hug, you should concentrate on being the best version of yourself, cultivating virtues that naturally draw people closer. When receiving a quick and distant hug, maintain your composure and reciprocate to the same extent. Do not show disappointment nor try to prolong the contact artificially. Instead, take the moment to create a positive impression with your balanced and respectful attitude. This behavior, aligned with Stoic principles, conveys confidence and emotional maturity. The second type is the short hug, but with firm contact. This already indicates a higher level of comfort and closeness. When a woman hugs you this way, briefly pressing her body against yours without the typical pats on the back, she is showing that she feels at ease with you, though still maintains some reserve. Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of prudence in interpretations. Do not rush to conclude that this type of hug necessarily indicates romantic attraction. It may simply be a sign of close friendship or platonic affection. However, it also represents a greater openness to building intimacy. Your response to this type of hug should be balanced. Reciprocate with the same intensity, maintaining eye contact as you part. The Stoics valued authenticity in interactions, so do not try to create a false impression of disinterest if you are genuinely interested. Instead, show appreciation for the shared moment, remaining present and receptive. The woman who hugs you this way is, consciously or not, evaluating your response. If you react with excessive anxiety or forced indifference, You may send contradictory signals. The Stoic approach suggests maintaining inner calm while demonstrating genuine interest, a combination that conveys security and self-confidence. The third type is the long and warm hug. When a woman prolongs the hug beyond the conventional, keeping her body close to yours for a longer time without rushing to part, she is clearly demonstrating a higher level of interest and connection. This type of hug is often accompanied by a light sigh or a gentle pressure of her hands on your back. This is a crucial moment where your response can strengthen or weaken the established connection. Stoicism teaches us to recognize opportunities without letting ourselves be dominated by excessive enthusiasm. Maintain your composure, but allow yourself to be fully present in the moment, feeling the shared energy. When receiving a long and warm hug, respond by softening your posture, allowing your body to naturally accommodate hers. You can subtly slide a hand along her back in a slow and respectful movement to show that you are comfortable with the closeness. As you part, maintain eye contact for a few seconds before looking away. The Stoics believed in the importance of timing, the right moment for each action. After a warm hug, carefully observe the subsequent signals. Does she maintain physical proximity? Does she seek eye contact repeatedly? Does she touch you during the conversation? These are important indicators that complement the message conveyed by the hug. The fourth type is the intimate and surrendered hug. This is the most revealing of all. It happens when a woman practically melts into your arms, resting her head on your shoulder or leaning her face against your neck. You can feel her breath against your skin, and her entire body conforms to yours without reservations. It is a hug that eliminates almost all physical barriers between you. This type of hug rarely leaves doubts about attraction and interest. It is a clear expression of desire for greater closeness and intimacy. Stoic philosophy teaches us to value these moments of genuine connection, recognizing them as precious opportunities to strengthen meaningful human bonds. Your response should reflect the same openness while always maintaining the emotional balance that the Stoics so valued. Embrace her with confidence, allowing your bodies to communicate naturally. You can gently stroke her back or her hair if the moment seems appropriate. As you part, keep your hands on her waist for a moment, prolonging the connection. The intimate hug creates a moment of shared vulnerability where defenses are temporarily suspended. The Stoics recognize the value of these authentic connections, but also warned against impulsivity. Carefully observe the signs after the hug to assess whether it is the right moment to advance to a kiss or another expression of intimacy. Regardless of the type of hug you receive, the Stoic perspective offers valuable principles to guide your response. The first is the acceptance of reality. If the hug indicates only friendship, accept that fact without emotional resistance. Forcing a different interpretation will only lead to frustration and possibly embarrassment. The second principle is self-control. Even when you receive a hug that clearly indicates romantic interest, maintain control over your emotions and actions. Do not allow momentary enthusiasm to lead you to impulsive behaviors that could compromise the established connection. The third principle is mindfulness of the present moment. During the hug, be completely there, feeling every nuance of the interaction. The Stoics valued this ability to live fully in the now without getting lost in anxieties about the future or regrets about the past. In addition to the type of hug, there are other subtle elements that deserve your attention. Body tension, for example, can reveal a lot about her emotional state. A stiff body during the hug usually indicates discomfort or reserve, while a relaxed body suggests confidence and openness. The placement of her hands also communicates specific intentions. Hands on your back indicate a conventional hug, while hands that subtly explore other points of contact, such as your shoulders or neck, suggest a desire for greater intimacy. Stoic philosophy encourages us to observe these details without hasty judgments, keeping an open and receptive mind. Another important aspect is initiative. When a woman takes the initiative to hug you, especially in situations where hugging is not socially expected or necessary, it usually indicates special interest. The Stoics valued the ability to distinguish between gestures of social courtesy and genuine expressions of personal connection. The frequency of hugs should also be considered. If she finds reasons to hug you regularly, creating moments of physical contact that could easily be avoided, she is sending a clear signal that she appreciates physical closeness with you. Marcus Aurelius would remind us to observe patterns, not just isolated events. A Stoic perspective on hugs also involves recognizing the role of expectations. Many men create elaborate expectations based on exaggerated interpretations of simple gestures. This leads to frustration when reality does not match the created fantasies. The Stoics teach us to observe what is actually happening, not what we would like to be happening. When a woman hugs you, she is sharing not only her body, but also her energy. The energy of the hug, the emotional vibration you feel during those brief moments of connection, often communicates more than words ever could. Be attentive to this energetic communication, keeping your senses sharp and your mind clear. So, what to do when you receive a hug that clearly indicates romantic interest? The Stoic approach suggests a calibrated response that demonstrates interest without anxiety. After the hug, maintain natural physical proximity without invading her. Personal space. Look for opportunities for subtle and natural physical contacts, such as a light touch on the arm during conversation or a brush of hands while walking side by side. Maintain eye contact a little longer than usual, but without staring in an intimidating manner. A glance that alternates between her eyes and lips subtly and effectively communicates romantic interest. The Stoics valued honest communication, but also recognized the power of subtlety in human interactions. If the moment seems appropriate, for a more significant advance, such as a kiss, do so with calm confidence, without anxious hesitation or unnecessary aggression. Hesitation conveys insecurity, while aggression demonstrates a lack of self-control, both contradictory to the Stoic principles of serenity and self-mastery. Remember that the hug is just a moment in the journey of building a connection. What happens before and after this moment is equally important. The behavioral consistency that the Stoics so valued is crucial here. If you show interest during the hug but act indifferently shortly after, you will create confusion and distrust. Authenticity was a central value for the Stoics and should guide your interactions. Do not try to be someone you are not to impress. Falseness inevitably shows, undermining trust and respect. Instead, be the best version of yourself, cultivating virtues that naturally attract and maintain meaningful connections. Stoicism also teaches us not to depend on external validation for our happiness and well-being. This means that even when a hug indicates romantic interest, you should not base your personal value or emotional state on this external approval. Keep your emotional center independent of others' reactions, no matter how positive they may be. This emotional independence, paradoxically, makes you more attractive. When a woman perceives that you appreciate her company and affection but do not depend on them for your emotional stability, she feels free to approach without the weight of responsibility for your happiness. The Stoics understood that true freedom begins with the release from emotional dependencies. It is also important to consider the cultural context in which the hug occurs. In some cultures, physical contact is more common and carries less romantic weight. In others, it is reserved for more intimate relationships. Stoic wisdom reminds us of the importance of considering the context before interpreting any gesture. Another relevant contextual factor is the previous relationship between you. A hug between longtime friends will have a different reading than a hug between people who have just met. The Stoics valued understanding the full context before forming judgments or making decisions. Her overall body language before and after the hug also offers valuable clues. Does she maintain physical proximity? Does she orient her body in your direction even when talking to other people? Does she seek opportunities to be alone with you? These behaviors, when aligned with a warm hug, strengthen the indication of romantic interest. The Stoics teach us the importance of patience in human relationships. Do not expect a single hug to completely transform the dynamic between you. Building meaningful connections requires time, consistency, and attention to detail. allow the relationship to evolve naturally without forcing premature results. When a woman hugs you, you have a unique opportunity to communicate your presence, confidence, and ability to connect emotionally. The way you receive and respond to the hug can leave a lasting impression, far beyond the brief moment of physical contact. The Stoic perspective reminds us that, although we cannot control her intentions or feelings, we have full control over our own responses. This understanding is liberating, as it allows us to focus on what is within our power, our attitude, our actions, and our personal development. The hug can also be seen as a moment of truth in relationships. During those brief seconds of physical connection, social masks tend to fall, revealing more authentic feelings. The Stoics valued these moments of authenticity as opportunities to see beyond appearances and access deeper truths about human relationships. When receiving a hug that clearly indicates romantic interest, remember that you do not need to resolve everything at that moment. Anxiety for immediate results can lead to forced and artificial behaviors. Instead, appreciate the moment for what it is, a gesture of connection, and allow it to be a bridge to even more meaningful future interactions. There is a male tendency to excessively rationalize interactions with women, seeking to interpret every gesture as part of a code to be deciphered. Stoic wisdom warns us against this mechanical approach to human relationships. A hug is not a problem to be solved, but an experience to be fully lived. At the same time, it is important not to ignore the clear signs being communicated. Many men, out of fear of rejection or insecurity, disregard obvious indications of romantic interest. The Stoics would encourage us to face the truth as it presents itself, without exaggerations or minimizations driven by fear. The confidence that the Stoics so valued does not come from the certainty of reciprocity, but from the certainty of one's own worth and ability to handle any outcome. This inner confidence, not dependent on external validation, creates an aura of security that naturally draws people closer. A particularly relevant Stoic principle in the context of hugs is the idea of reserve, understanding that we should pursue our goals with the caveat that circumstances beyond our control may interfere. Applied to relationships, this means seeking connection while remaining open to any outcome, without rigid attachment to specific expectations. This attitude of interested detachment creates an attractive paradox. The less you emotionally depend on a specific outcome, the more natural and confident you become, increasing the chances of that outcome materializing. The Stoics understood this apparent paradox and incorporated it into their approach to human relationships. When a woman hugs you meaningfully, she is, in a sense, inviting you to a moment of deeper connection. Your response to this invitation communicates a lot about who you are and how you relate to others. It is an opportunity to demonstrate not only romantic interest but also emotional maturity and the ability to connect authentically. Hugs can also be seen as portals to deeper levels of intimacy. Every successful hug, where both parties feel safe, respected, and connected, sets a precedent for even more significant physical and emotional contacts in the future. The Stoics would remind us of the importance of building these moments with care and mindfulness. The way you hold your own body during the hug also communicates important messages. A stiff and tense body conveys discomfort or anxiety, while a relaxed and present body communicates confidence and openness. The Stoics practiced body awareness as part of their philosophical development, recognizing the deep connection between physical posture and mental state. Another important aspect to consider is the transition out of the hug. The moment you part can be as significant as the hug itself. An abrupt separation can break the established connection, while a gradual parting, where physical contact decreases smoothly, can preserve and even intensify the shared energy. The Stoics teach us the importance of gratitude in human relationships. After a meaningful hug, allow your face and eyes to express genuine appreciation for the shared moment. This silent gratitude, communicated through your expression and energy, creates a much more lasting impression than elaborate words or forced gestures. Remember that the goal is not to manipulate or create a false impression, but to be genuinely present and receptive. Stoic philosophy values authenticity above all, recognizing that true connections can only be built on foundations of honesty and real presence. When a woman hugs you in a way that indicates interest, she is, consciously or unconsciously, evaluating your response not only on a physical level, but also energetically and emotionally. She is sensing your presence, your confidence, your ability to be fully in the moment without anxiety or ulterior motives. This evaluation happens on an instinctive level and has a profound impact on the impression you leave. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on virtue, self-control, and presence in the moment, offers a valuable guide to navigating these interactions with grace and authenticity. By applying Stoic principles to moments of physical connection, you transform simple hugs into opportunities to communicate who you truly are at the most fundamental level. The hug, when experienced with full awareness and receptivity, becomes more than a social gesture. It transforms into a moment of deep communication that transcends words. It is a universal language that speaks directly to the heart and the most basic instincts of human connection. By applying Stoic principles to hugs, you develop not only refined social skills, but also a deeper understanding of human dynamics and your own place within them. This understanding transcends the romantic context, benefiting all your relationships and interactions. The next time a woman hugs you, remember, that brief moment contains a universe of possibilities. With Stoic wisdom as your guide, you can transform a simple physical gesture into a powerful affirmation of presence, confidence, and the ability to connect authentically. And this, more than any technique or strategy, is what will truly make her never stop thinking about you. The Stoics teach us that virtue is its own reward, that acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation brings intrinsic rewards, regardless of external outcomes. Applying this philosophy to hugs and the building of connections, you discover that true value lies not in the romantic conquest itself, but in the person you become through the process. Someone capable of authentic presence, genuine connection, and inner serenity regardless of external circumstances. And this quality of being, the centered and authentic presence, is paradoxically what most deeply attracts and maintains romantic interest. It is not superficial techniques or manipulations, but the real substance of your character that leaves an indelible impression. When a woman hugs you and feels this authentic presence, she finds something rare and valuable, something she will naturally desire to experience again.